Welcome back, everyone, to the Unified Advanced League Winners interviews here with myself, Orbital, as your main host. Of course, this time around, we will be taking a look at the playoffs with the quarterfinals winners here with Team Ambition Black, who just came off of a 2-1 win against MSU. It was a hard-fought victory, but it was a victory nonetheless. This time around, I will have all 5 players with me coming out here and talking a little bit about their experience as well as their victory. Unfortunately, I may have misstepped and misjudged some of my memories, so I do apologize for that, but nonetheless, it is a fantastic interview, so let's get right into it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening to this wonderful interview today. We do have the winners of the quarterfinals matchup that was just broadcast today. It was, or yesterday, of course, whenever you're watching this. It was Team Ambition Black. We have the whole squad this time. This is my first time doing a 5-person interview, so of course, let's run down everyone. In the top left camera, it is going to be Castle. In the top right, it is Turk. In the bottom left, it is Stain. In the bottom middle, it is Sam. And of course, at the bottom right, it is Mark Boots. Of course, the entire squad put up fantastic numbers against MSU. But to start things off, of course, Mark Boots and Castle returning members, but Turk, Sam, and Stain, first time on the interview. How you guys feeling? And welcome to the desk, of course.
I'm feeling great, Orbital. Thanks for having me, dude. I'm excited.
I'm very excited. Very excited to converse with my team. Unfiltered.
Oh gosh. Of course, though, we gotta talk about this. First thing, of course. This was a rematch of the 2021 fall, I believe, quarterfinals matchup. Quite literally the same thing, just different split. I know one member, I believe, was new to the roster, but for most of you, it was a rematch. And last time it was 2-0, this time 2-1. How's it feeling? Did you guys feel confident moving into this matchup, or were you a little bit more worried, or just kind of taking it easy? Whoever would like to start off.
I knew they had a better mid, so I was a little bit worried there, but that's mostly it.
Just throwing Mark Boots under the bus.
I think their roster was like kind of the same this time. Last time they keep doing this thing where they bring like an extra player that isn't even on their roster to the lobby, and they just have him play somehow. And I guess we were just okay with it or whatever, because we just figured it would cause a hassle if we just said no. Like last time they had RBM just randomly sub in. They had 2 players over the cap, and then this time they have someone who wasn't even on their roster, and we just kind of let it slide. So the next time we play, it'll probably be against TSM, not against MSU.
Oh, God. The whole academy squad, just toss them all in.
Yeah, it'll just be like Faker on the enemy team or something.
It makes things tough for us too, because we like to do our scouting as much as we can before, but we actually don't know what they play a lot of the
They
time.
also
a
just
lot
have
of them are
3
off-roll.
players playing off-roll.
It's really difficult to be able to draft for. Like
It's a weird
we
team.
never would have guessed that they would have picked Zoe game 1. Like that's not a champion we ever thought would be on the table, and yet they busted it out.
Yeah, I mean, he just whips it out, even though I've never.
You never expect the blind. You never expect the first time blind pick Zoes. Those are always the least expecting.
Of course. And Sam, for you specifically on the bot side, we know you, or Stain, sorry, because we know you as being this phenomenal AD carry. I know RMC on the broadcast desk was actually talking you up quite a bit. And we had a question for you because you brought out the Cassiopeia game number 1, and I believe rocked it pretty well.
He was Syndra.
Syndra. Listen, I'm tired. It's been a long day. Anyways.
We'll cut that part out.
Yeah, just definitely cut that out. I'm a fantastic host and interviewer, everyone. I know exactly what happened. But still, for you specifically, it was a little bit different style for yourself. So was that something that you guys have been practicing, considering that game it ended up being, I believe, a full 2 APCs running around the field?
Yeah, so before when we played, we would flex AP bottom lanes, and we flexed Syndra before. I don't really play it much in solo queue now, but I was like, I'm fine. I don't really need to warm up on it. Combos did feel pretty bad that game, but I was like, I knew they would probably play an AP mage bot, and if he played like an ADC, we would be fine, just because how their comp was shaping out. But I will say the Syndra did not feel good. Afterwards, I told my team, I was like, I want to get back on an ADC. I was like, I can do Ziggs, Veigar, stuff like that, but the Syndra did not feel great. But I do think our draft was much better that game.
Of course, it definitely seemed to shape up. And again, in game 1, though, it came down to what felt like a very tense moment in the late game. Again, that was one of the longest games that I think you guys have played in the regular season, well over 40 minutes. Coming from every single one of you, and I think we'll start with Sam here. I mean, were you guys feeling tense in that latter stages, and then how were you feeling kind of after that game culminated when MSU took away a game just kind of at the very cusp of, or the pinnacle of that of the end of the game?
I think I think we were pretty calm going into game one. I think usually, at least my point of view, game one like a scouting pick that they're
Cutting out.
like how they
Hey,
play. Oh, my bad.
You're cutting out a wee bit.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Here, come back to me. I forgot what I was gonna say.
You're talking
One
about
second.
scaling comp or something, weren't you?
Yeah.
He was gonna say we usually use game one as a bit of a scouting game to just see what
Yes.
they play, and we just it's a lot worse to do that in a best of 3. But I do believe we had the better draft that game. It just came down to like mechanical errors and mistakes we made.
Mhm.
And after the fact, we weren't like too tilted or anything. It wasn't like we didn't think the series was over. Obviously, that we still have 2 more games to play, and the only part I would say, I guess, like morale was like slightly down is when we started getting behind in game 2, because that's kind of the situation where like, oh, if we lose this game, we're eliminated, we're done. And then thankfully we were able to pull back in game 2, and then game 3 was kind of a stomp. Our comp, I did like our comp a lot in game 3 because I think we just outranged our characters. Like Fiddle can't really get in on any of our characters safely because we have really good vision with Luxie and stuff.
I wanted to ask specifically for Turk, you know, really honing in on that game 3. It was a hard swap from the Nautilus to a Soraka. And for you specifically, I know we were talking about on the desk, you know, some of your wishes came in that were very, very clutch, very, very impressive to say the least, and your roaming potential, you know, just pressing R, pressing W and all that fun stuff. But overall, it did seem like a hard shift of playstyle for you specifically in the bot side. I want to ask you, you know, what was the compositional standpoint? I mean, this was by far game 3 was the wildest draft out there. So what was kind of running through your head there?
Honestly, I just knew that the Soraka Yumi matchup was like so heavily favored for Soraka that I just like I played it like a few times. I played it a whole bunch like way back in the day, but anyways, long story short, like I ended up picking it up as of recent. We just ended up doing a scrim and it worked out really well. And yeah, I knew that the matchup was just basically unplayable for the Yumi. You just silence her and she can't jump back on like anybody for 5 seconds. So that, and then also like I just knew that I would outscale. So I get the counter pick and then I still outscale. So it's a win-win.
Of
That's
course.
pretty much my mental. The other option obviously was to go for Nautilus, but I'll be honest, I'm getting kind of bored of playing that champ. Like I'll play him if I need to. I don't really care, but like I just want a little break. I think like reset the mental, I guess.
Need a
If we played
mental
them well enough,
reset.
they might start using a ban on Nautilus instead
Yeah,
of
maybe.
2 or 3 junglers every
Dude,
single game.
that's almost my dream. That's almost my dream. I just hope that teams ban Nautilus first main, so I can we can play something else.
Wait, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Oh man, oh
Yeah,
man. Yes, we
yeah,
can.
yeah.
Yes, we can.
Not too loud because I fixed my mic settings.
Hey!
No, you're fine. You're fine.
All right, so we get to
Sweet.
talk to you, Sam. I mean, in the top side especially, you had a very fun time as well. There were some very, I want to say some interesting moments. Of course, you were the recipient of quite a few ganks, but your pulls overall were very, very fun, and the entire champion diversity that you had did carry over into a win, right? My question to you, for game 3 though, as the bot lane, we did see the shift into that Soraka. For you on the top side, you actually opted for the Gragas into the Aatrox, I do believe. So for you specifically, was that something that you had practiced before, something that you were ready for, or just something that you said, hey, this feels like the best moment for me?
Yeah. I played them because in matchup, pretty. I don't think it's too uncommon, but most of the time, Gragas is usually go grasp and then full tank into Aatrox, which is definitely a lot better because then you don't die like I did. But they had a Vayne, and like I just don't want to be in the middle of them. Plus, like the phase rush Everfrost, Gragas is just AIDS. Like you just eat them, and then 3 seconds later it's up again. You just Everfrost. You just like yeah. That Yasuo is creepy. If you watch the VOD, that guy's a weirdo. That guy was getting E'd like 5 times in a row, and then still came back from.
That is true. That is true. But
That guy's a straight freak.
I mean, you did 1v1 him a few times down there, and, you know, a little bit off screen, it was one of those, haha, I got the 1v1. I'll see you later. But again, you guys came out with the victory. It was a 2-1, a little bit rougher to say the least, and taking a look at the rest of the bracket as well, only one team was able to 2-0. That was the Manitoba Bisons, I do believe. Looking at the strength of these composition, or at the strength of the rest of the teams, and we'll kind of look at you, Mark Boots, as we haven't really gotten to talk to you a little bit, so we'll get your thoughts here. Moving into the next round, you're up against UNT. Are you excited for this matchup? What do you think, or how is it going to feel going up against them in the semifinals?
Well, we did verse them in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Castle, did we 2-0 them, or did we 2-1 them?
2-1.
2-1.
Well, dude, can you like jog my memory?
Because
What happened?
we had that was the first time we lost with Seraphine.
Oh yeah. Wait, we lost game
countered-
1, right?
Yeah, we lost game 1 with All for One because they countered Seraphine with Braum, and then we didn't sub him out because we thought he played bad or anything, but like Stain was just doing his exams or whatever. So when Stain got back, we finished game 2 and 3 with Stain, and we ended up winning 2-1. But I mean, that was like 2 months ago. I don't think it really matters much now.
Yeah. I'd say that this game or this series was probably, or it is harder than the other one. It was harder than the other one. Will be. I'm not too worried about versus UNT. I think the first time we played them, like the first loss we had was like just kind of a bad draft. And I think we kind of fixed our draft issues that we've been having recently.
Bad draft. You think game 1 was bad draft? I think we just.
We fixed it recently.
Oh,
we
okay.
versus other
That's
people.
good.
Versus UNT, bro.
Yeah, when
okay.
that was like a while ago. I can't remember.
2 months ago.
Sam's
yeah,
out there.
I
He's
think-
just like, man, I don't know what's going on here.
I don't, bro.
I think that series will be a lot better, and also like we absolutely hate best of threes. Like all of us just hate
Yep.
them. Like yeah, they're quicker, sure, but we definitely are much better in a best of 5 series because as
Ooh.
Castle said, we tend to use our first game as like a scouting game. You know, just get a feel for what they want to prio pick and you know what they tend to do. And yeah, you can't. It's hard to do that in a best of 3. So
Mhm.
I think it will be a lot different than this week.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to be very, very entertaining. As you said, best of 5s coming out here. It's all the way through to the grand finals and even in a third place match for you guys. So I, for one, am very excited to see if you guys can, run the gauntlet. If anyone takes you to a game 4 or game 5, that'll be very, very fun. And it sounds like you guys are also very excited to play off against some of these teams and also looking at the rest of the bracket. It'll be interesting to see if you guys can, have some fun in those other matches. So again, to the entirety of Team Envision Black, thank you guys so much for doing this interview. A little bit bumpy on my part, but I do appreciate you guys getting through it with me. Congratulations on the victory tonight, and hopefully you guys do very well in the rest of the playoffs.
Thank you for having us, Orbital.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you for casting, man.